Disclaimer, this video contains my opinion, and if you easily get triggered or if you're not willing to listen to another point of view, then don't watch. Do you want to know who the most hated fictional character in the world is? You might guess it's a vile traitor, a criminal psychopath, or someone of that caliber. Well, nope. It's a heartbroken mermaid from a magical TV show called H2O, Just Dead Water. I used to watch this series in my childhood. Back then, there was no internet, so I watched episodes from all 3 seasons as they aired on TV. Back then, my favorite characters and mermaids were Isa, Bella, and Charlotte. When you're watching something alone, at home, on TV, you don't really get exposed to different opinions. You just live in a wonderful bubble where everything is shaped by your attitude only. That being said, when I was watching H2O Season 2 on TV, I knew Charlotte was written to be a villain. I knew she was not destined to have a happy ending because, after all, someone has to play the role of the final boss, and that was obviously her. However, I had no idea what was going on inside other people's minds. What I discovered on the internet was just terrible, inexcusable, and absolutely atrocious. Let me tell you why. When you enter the comment section of literally every video involving Charlotte or Season 2, you see the largest amount of hate and spite that not so many other videos on YouTube can brag about. Most comments there involve people saying how much they can't stand Charlotte with a varying degree of madness. It goes from slight irritation like, I find Charlotte's actions annoying, to something truly horrendous, like people using offensive slurs, expressing their desire to murder her, or using other ways to humiliate the character and even the actress who played her. Yes, I'm not joking, some kiddos actually harass Brittany, the wonderful, talented, and super positive actress who beautifully portrayed Charlotte. This just shows that A, most viewers are immature kids who don't even understand how this world works yet, including the difference between a character and an actor, and B, how much people hate this poor heroine. Before I proceed to the character's analysis, I want to point out that no one deserves to be treated this way. This is pure bullying, and it is so wrong. Instead of enjoying an entertaining program, people spread violent comments and cross all lines. Speaking of which, I was also horrified to see the absolutely incompetent official channel moderators who agreed with the hateful comments and encouraged bullying. This is so not the way to moderate a comment section. At first, these people called Charlotte trash, and then they go over to the actor's social media profile and insult her personally. In my opinion, such toxic behavior should immediately be discouraged at the very least. Secondly, I don't even think Charlotte is that bad or bad at all. Surprise! To clear things out, I decided to re-watch Season 2 in order to see if I was missing something or my perception changed. And oh my, I actually was missing a lot of things. All the terrible, mean, obnoxious actions that the 3 main girls performed. So let's dive into my review with a quick series recap. Cleo dumps Lewis and says hurtful things to him. Charlotte draws a portrait of Lewis and gifts it to him, which puts a smile on his face. Oh wow, Lewis does so much for the girls and he's a very supportive boyfriend, but apparently it wasn't enough for Cleo. Now, don't get me wrong, she could be mad at him and she could want to break up. It's fine. She might have realized that he's not the right person for her, it happens. But, spoiler alert, it's not like that. She didn't truly let him go. She just kept using him like her property till the end of the season without providing any support to him on her end. So this dialogue is just hard to watch, and Cleo is a meanie, sorry.
But you can't help me right now, Lewis.
Yes, I can. I can fix it.
Why are you always having to fix everyone? You can't fix us this time. This is up to Emma and Rikki and me. You're not one of us, Lewis.
I almost am.
No, you're not. I think it would be better if I were alone for a while.
It's a good idea.
I mean, really alone. As in by myself. Without a boyfriend.
All around me are familiar
Charlotte, on the other tail, takes interest in Lewis and tries to cheer him up with a nice gift. That is one wholesome scene right there, and I agree with Charlotte.
Down in the dumps, aren't you?
I guess.
Well, whoever she is, she's got to be an idiot.
Cleo takes/steals Charlotte's diary, reads it, and tries to humiliate her. Lewis asks Cleo whether she wants to get back with him, but Cleo reassures him that it's all only about their secret. Now, this is some arch nemesis kind of move right here. If you still had doubts that Cleo's an unpleasant person, then this is a solid proof. What Cleo did is a real nightmare for many people. To have your private diary exposed in a dirty way, especially in front of your crush. I can only imagine how embarrassing it was for Charlotte. Yet people don't notice this because Cleo's a protagonist, right? Also, Cleo could have already guessed that she doesn't want to let Lewis go and live his life, but she still denies it. And when she could easily make amends with him, she did not want to do that. Lewis is worried that he's not manly enough, but Cleo doesn't provide him with any words of encouragement on the matter that troubles him. Cleo assumes that the chocolate box is from Lewis because he simply can't resist her, in her opinion, and she mocks the present with her friend Rikki. Cleo is so sure that Lewis can't resist her, and she seems to be so done with it. And it is rather disrespectful to discuss someone's present in such a way with your pal. While Charlotte always strived to support Lewis, Cleo treated him like a joke. Cleo says she wishes things went the way they were before, and Lewis thinks it's about them as a couple, but it's actually about her family. I'm not blaming Cleo here. It's an unfortunate coincidence, but still, you should know better than using such expressions in front of a heartbroken person who's dreaming of making amends with you. Charlotte prepares food for Lewis and accompanies him when he goes fishing. Cleo appears, becomes mad, and takes his fishing rod and lure into the ocean with her. During the dinner, Cleo talks in a very condescending manner to Charlotte, while also disapproving of the fact that her single mom dares to date single man, and gets angry with Lewis for hanging out with Charlotte. Then the trio ruins the dinner that everyone's been working on, while also using their powers in a blatant way and feeling very proud of it. The girls call a smart and caring girl a dumb choice and laugh about it. So, the girls openly use their powers to ruin everyone's evening, but later they would scold Charlotte for abusing her magic. Wow, the level of hypocrisy here is just unbelievable.
Hold on. Oh, it's frozen solid.
Did you turn the oven on?
Of course I did.
I better check it.
Cleo gets mad at Lewis for getting a job at the marine park on the day she lost hers. He didn't even know that he was going to replace Cleo, yet the girls put all the blame on him. Then they proceed to sabotage Lewis on his job by also spoiling the mood of the customers and freezing the kid's tongue to ice cream.
There you go.
This is supposed to be some kind of a joke.
No, absolutely not. I have no idea what's going on here.
They also let the dolphin out and allow themselves to swim in the tank during the open hours under the cameras because they're so good at keeping their secret. Charlotte says the right things about this case, while Cleo acts like a hysterical brat.
Lewis, you've got to stop beating yourself up. Cleo got fired before you got the job.
I know. It's silly. I just feel guilty.
Well, don't.
Easier said than done.
Cleo's a big girl. She can look after herself.
Lewis asks Cleo to accompany him in a limo to the awards ceremony, but she declines the invitation. She can't fully make up her mind, however, so when Charlotte gets determined to go with Lewis herself without receiving an invitation, both her and Lewis's uncertainty results in an awkward outcome.
It's a very funny story.
That'll be your limo ride. There's enough room for the three of you.
Forget it.
Me too.
Cleo hints that Charlotte cannot possibly like Lewis and that she's only taken advantage of him. Oh yes, the toxic gaslighting, which can be translated into, no one can ever like you except for me, so you should be grateful to me for having such low standards.
We think she's trying to get close to us.
There's another possibility. Maybe Charlotte just likes me?
Lewis, she's taking advantage of you.
Why do you care? Anyway.
I don't.
At this point, I'm not even surprised that the only thing these girls use their powers for is ruining other people's lives, jobs, vacations, etc. Making sure Charlotte will have an awful time. Yep, this is very friendly. And then let's sprinkle her with cocktail in a cafe so that she transforms in front of everyone. Quite smart too.
Don't worry, Cleo, she'll probably have an awful time. Actually, I think that could be arranged.
Cleo sincerely believes that the only reason Lewis doesn't want to date her now is because she's a mermaid. Come on, and you don't assume that it's because you treated Lewis awfully and didn't support him like Charlotte did when he needed it the most. Charlotte always seems to be concerned about Lewis, asking him what's wrong and such when he looks troubled. Cleo, on the other tail, does not do that.
Okay, come on. I think you've had too much sun.
Emma and Rikki once again use their powers to cheat and spoil Zane and Ash's game. Seems like they never even use their powers for good. The girls prompt Lewis to take their side while making a monster out of Charlotte once again and being extra suspicious. They all show no respect for Charlotte, and even when she gets close as ever to unveiling the mermaid secret, all they keep saying is, stop her. And that's their attitude towards everyone. Lying, humiliating, belittling. The girls ask Lewis to get rid of Max's research just because they're so paranoid. Lewis rudely tells Charlotte off, calls her grandmother crazy, and busts her theories. Later on, Cleo says, don't be so hard on yourself, implying that he was really a fool to start dating Charlotte in the first place. And he says how he misses being able to talk so easily to somebody, even though Charlotte's been the one supporting and encouraging him all this time. Since Charlotte has figured out the secret of Mako and become a mermaid, the girls, except for Rikki, are trying to give her a chance. Together they manage to win a volleyball match as a team, and that gives everybody hope that they will befriend each other after all. However, it all goes back to ground zero after Charlotte discovers her mermaid powers over water. Alright, this gotta be my favorite episode of the season, because the way the girls display their confusion and jealousy is surely worth watching. Charlotte tries to become the member of the team, literally and metaphorically, but it fails because they just won't trust her. Everything she does makes them feel negative emotions, even though the moon pool gives them some wisdom and they do say some right things at the end.
Think about it, the original mermaids were a threesome. It feels like four's too many, like it's out of balance.
You're overreacting.
Well, what if there's some universal law against it or something?
If that was the case, which it isn't, then she wouldn't have become a mermaid in the first place.
Cleo, she's dating your ex-boyfriend. Surely that's gonna bother you.
I broke up with him. It's history now. She's right, Rikki. We've got to make this work for all of us.
Charlotte's phobia of dolphins exposes one big problem of her relationship with the girls. They can't understand each other. The conflict escalates into a real battle of magic when Charlotte tries to defend her boyfriend. The girls act like they've never, ever abused their powers to sabotage someone, and it becomes clear that peace is not an option.
Why are you following me?
I'm just heading in the same direction. Trust me, I am not the following type.
Well, trust me. I don't need a babysitter. So stop following me.
Okay, well how about I stop following you when you stop doing stupid things?
Bye, Rikki.
Now Charlotte is openly bullied by Rikki, even though it's always been this way. But they're still planning a birthday party for Lewis. Then strange things begin to happen as Charlotte freezes Cleo and Emma in the room and Rikki frees them. Now, this is the weirdest episode ever because it turns Charlotte into a monster for no reason. If the previous episode actually showed two valid points of view, this one serves one mere purpose: to complete Charlotte's transformation into the final boss. And there's one more important moment I'll talk about later. Things start to become really messy. Charlotte knows that Lewis spends too much time with someone who openly hates her, and she doesn't fancy it at all. So she pressures Lewis into doing what's needed to be done. But it's all become too complicated, and even if some people disagree with that, Lewis has to make a choice sooner or later. Charlotte is rushing things and lying too much, but I reckon it's because she's sick and tired of Lewis's inconsistency and she wants him to be more quick. But by using the wrong approach, she just sets in motion a chain of events that ultimately leads Lewis back to Cleo. It would have happened sooner or later because Lewis doesn't really love Charlotte, sadly.
Lewis, you really let me down. I always thought that you were on my side and I was on yours.
Yeah, except for all the times when he needed you and you mocked him or denied him. Long enough to realize that you don't want to let Lewis go and live his life. There's not much to say about this episode. It's a mess. Fun fact, Rikki doesn't kiss her own boyfriend too often and doesn't let Cleo do it either. Anyways, it features the same problem we had in episode 24. Charlotte does irrational things for no reason. Like, what was Charlotte trying to achieve back then and now? She's been portrayed as a smart girl all along, so why is she doing all that? I get it that she's a vengeful person who put one and one together and showed the girls what it's like when someone uses their magical powers against you, but this whole full moon mayhem was just designed to end the season somehow. Verdict: the main trio acts in a terrible way during most of the episodes. They have turned into paranoid hypocrites who care about no one but themselves and their precious secret. They bullied Charlotte for using her powers, yet they constantly abuse their own powers when possible, and they even hurt other people physically or emotionally with them, and showed no remorse over it. They got mad at Lewis for almost exposing their secret, yet they did things that could easily expose them themselves, and for selfish reasons too. They bullied Charlotte for hanging out with Lewis when Cleo had broken up with him herself, yet was extremely jealous to the point when she humiliated Charlotte when the latter tried to comfort Lewis and make him feel better. The girls acted in the most unlikable way possible, but all the hate goes to Charlotte, who was their victim most of the time. Don't get me wrong, she wasn't perfect, but she wasn't bad either, and people completely ignore or justify the main trio's mistakes. Plotwise, it is clear that the writers wanted to introduce a new villain this season who'd be able to challenge the girls in their own element. An evil mermaid sounds like an intriguing concept. However, was it executed so well? In my opinion, not at all. Charlotte was a nice, supportive, intelligent person most of the season, so her insanity in the last 3 episodes looks very suspicious and irrational. It feels like a bunch of episodes where Charlotte loses her mind is missing. She doesn't really get any solid closure, and her character development goes to waste. I think the writers just didn't know how to end her story properly after making her so likable / a victim. So they just rushed the final episode of the season so that the girls could defeat the villain and celebrate it. Charlotte and Lewis. I've seen a lot of comments where kids blame Charlotte for trying to impress Lewis and be with him. Many people claim that Charlotte is the worst person on earth for doing that because Lewis clearly belongs to Cleo. First things first, she disowned him in episode 2 and kept reiterating that she doesn't want to be with him in later episodes, even when he tried to fix their relationship. Secondly, when you are so madly in love, it is only natural that you want to support your love interest and spend more time with them. But That's why I keep saying kids, because it is clear that these viewers have never had their heart broken like that in their life. Charlotte became a victim of what I call a contrast colors love. This is when one person is in love and the other one is not. When you are inexperienced, you are not able to see that your love interest does not love you back. So you keep trying and trying, but no matter what you do, it still doesn't work out. Such painful experience teaches you how to detect these signals and know whether the person cares enough for you or not. Because the golden rule of a relationship is both sides should equally care about it. And Charlotte just had this tragic experience with Lewis. What she should have done was to back off a bit and wait to see his reaction. If he were truly interested in her, he would have invited her somewhere himself to get to know her better. In episode 24, he leaves Charlotte, his girlfriend, at the party she'd carefully organized for him and swims away with his friends. It says it all. She could have seen that sooner, but again, you don't get this secret knowledge until you get burned for the first time yourself. Mermaid Charlotte. As I said earlier, having a rival mermaid is a fantastic idea, but all I can say about H2O is 2 words: wasted potential. How cool would it be to see all the 4 mermaids fighting underwater or just swimming together? I get it that they didn't want to make a separate new tale for Brittany, but even so, she doesn't have enough mermaid scenes. As for the story, I was surprised to discover that some people have a problem with Charlotte wanting to become a mermaid. Why does the fact that the 3 girls became mermaids by accident makes them superior? People hate Charlotte for having 3 powers, but hail the girls for being chosen by destiny. Well, surprise for you kids, but in life you often have to work hard to achieve something. Charlotte conducted a whole investigation to earn the title of a mermaid, so I appreciate that a lot. These talks about Three's Company are especially ridiculous when we discover that there is a 4th mermaid in season 3. Now, hang on, I'm about to say something that'll blow your mind. I have a theory that Charlotte is still a mermaid. Why? Well, at the end of the season, the writers portrayed her as a vile megalomaniac, so does she really have any reasons to keep silent about the girl's secret after what happened? I don't think so. Unless she herself is still a mermaid. She moves out of town and is never spoken of again in season 3, staying safe somewhere far away. And when she spoke to Lewis for the last time, she just wanted to make sure that they will not try to hunt her down or anything, and to end her relationship with Lewis peacefully. So yeah, that's my headcanon for all Charlotte fans out there. Thanks for watching, and stay inspired.